Why did one half of the Roman Empire fade into history while the other half endured for another 1,000 years? The answer isn't just about armies and borders. It's a story of power struggles, political intrigue, and a visionary decision to rebuild civilization from the remnants of the old world. This is the story of how the Byzantine Empire emerged. While the Western Roman Empire was slowly collapsing, fractured by repeated invasions and internal instability, a new power was quietly rising in the East. An empire founded on a renewed faith, protected by an innovative defensive weapon, and governed from one of the most strategically located cities in the world. But its greatest challenges didn't come from outside enemies. They came from within the palace walls. This is the story of the ambitions, rivalries, and turning points that shaped Byzantium. Among the remarkable events connected to this era is a well-known prophecy from the prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, about the future of Constantinople. He foretold that the city would one day come under the leadership of the Muslim community, saying, "Surely you shall reach Constantinople." What a great leader that commander will be, and what a great army that will be. This vision inspired generations of Muslim rulers for nearly 8 centuries and was ultimately realized in 1453 by the Ottoman Sultan Mehmed II, known to history as Mehmed the Conqueror. This saying dates back to the Prophet's time in Medina, between 622 CE and 632 CE, and became one of the guiding inspirations for the later Ottoman campaigns. Hi there, I'm Czar. Welcome to Episode 1. Today we explore the life and legacy of Constantine the Great. My goal with this channel is to help the new generation and everyday viewers better understand our shared history. If that's something that interests you, the best way to support this mission is to like, subscribe, and share this video. Your comments also inspire my next topics, so let me know what part of history you'd like to learn about next. The Byzantine Empire didn't begin in a single moment. It evolved from the eastern half of the Roman Empire. Its formation was a strategic response to preserve Roman culture, governance, and faith while the Western territories declined. Emperor Diocletian's reforms and his system known as the tetrarchy were bold solutions to the crisis of the 3rd century, a time when the empire was strained by leadership disputes and foreign pressures. These changes became one of the most significant administrative transformations in Roman history. But what exactly were Diocletian's reforms? Why were they necessary, and what was happening in Rome before they were introduced? Before these measures, the empire faced overwhelming challenges, constant political turmoil, with 26 emperors in just 50 years, many replaced due to internal rivalries. Armies often supported their own generals as new rulers. The economy suffered from severe inflation, and the currency lost much of its value. At the same time, multiple regions faced invasions from northern and the eastern frontiers. And parts of the empire, such as the Gallic territories, temporarily broke away from central Roman control. The Roman Empire had simply grown too vast for one ruler to manage or defend effectively. The solution was an innovative system known as the tetrarchy, meaning rule of 4. Let's break down how this worked. In 293 AD, Emperor Diocletian introduced the tetrarchy to solve 2 major issues: political succession and military command. There would be 2 senior emperors called Augusti, singular Augustus, and 2 junior emperors called Caesars. Diocletian himself governed the eastern half from Nicomedia, while Maximian ruled the western half from Milan, a more strategic location than Rome. Serving under them were the 2 Caesars, Galerius, who supported Diocletian in the east, and Constantius Chlorus, who assisted Maximian in the west. The system had a clear plan. Each Augustus would serve for about 20 years, then voluntarily step down, something unheard of in Roman history. Their Caesars would then be promoted to Augusti, and new Caesars would be appointed beneath them. This cycle aimed to create a stable succession system, reduce internal conflict, and ensure experienced leadership across the empire. But Diocletian didn't stop there. He introduced a series of wide-reaching reforms to strengthen and stabilize the empire. Administrative reforms. He reorganized the empire into 12 dioceses, each managed by an official called a vicar. These were further divided into around 100 smaller provinces. By making provinces smaller and placing them under the supervision of a vicar, who reported directly to the emperor, Diocletian ensured that no single governor could gain too much influence or challenge central authority. He also separated military and civilian powers, doubling the size of the army. Military commanders, known as duces, focused solely on defense, while civilian governors handled administration. This separation of duties made governance more efficient and reduced the risk of internal power struggles. A larger and better organized army meant the empire could defend multiple frontiers at once. Economic reforms. To stabilize the economy, Diocletian issued the Edict on Maximum Prices in 301 AD, aiming to control inflation. It set fixed prices for over 1,000 goods and services and introduced new, higher-value coins. Although these measures were difficult to enforce and often ignored, they represented one of the earliest large-scale attempts by a government to manage national prices. His tax reforms, based on standardized units of land and labor, proved far more effective and helped restore economic stability for a time. Religious policy. During Diocletian's reign, there were efforts to promote traditional Roman beliefs and restore unity across the empire. This included restrictions on emerging faith groups, which were seen by some officials as challenges to established Roman traditions. However, these efforts did not achieve lasting unity and were later reversed under Emperor Constantine, who adopted policies of tolerance toward all faiths. Legacy of the Tetrarchy. The Tetrarchy and Diocletian's reforms successfully ended decades of instability and restored short-term balance to the empire. His administrative and military changes extended the life of the Eastern Roman world, what would later become the Byzantine Empire, for more than 1,000 years. The idea of dividing authority proved crucial. It established that the empire functioned best when responsibilities were shared among multiple rulers, a model that persisted for centuries. However, the system relied heavily on cooperation and planned succession. After Diocletian and Maximian stepped down in 305 AD, disagreements quickly arose among their successors, including Constantine, about who should lead next. By 313 AD, the Tetrarchy had effectively dissolved. Economically, the price controls failed and were eventually abandoned, but the tax reforms endured. Religiously, Constantine later issued the Edict of Milan, 313 AD, ensuring freedom of worship across the empire. Though the Tetrarchy was short-lived, Diocletian's vision was revolutionary. He preserved the Roman world from collapse by reshaping its government, military, and economy. His decision to formally divide the empire into eastern and western halves paved the way for the Byzantine Empire, laying the foundation for the next great chapter of Roman civilization. In 330 AD, Emperor Constantine the Great inaugurated the new imperial capital, Nova Roma, or New Rome, built on the site of the ancient Greek city of Byzantium. It soon became known as Constantinople, modern-day Istanbul, and would stand as the heart of the Eastern Roman Empire for over a millennium. In 395 AD, after the passing of Emperor Theodosius I, the Roman Empire was formally divided between his two sons. The Western Roman Empire, with capitals at Rome and later Ravenna, and the Eastern Roman Empire, with its capital at Constantinople, became two distinct realms. This moment is traditionally viewed as the birth of what we now call the Byzantine Empire, though its own citizens always referred to themselves as Romaioi, meaning Romans. In 476 AD, when the Western Empire came to an end and its last emperor was removed from power, the Eastern Roman Empire stood as the sole continuation of the Roman world. This Eastern realm would endure for another 1,000 years, until 1453, thanks to its stronger foundations and strategic design. The religious transformation of the empire was one of its most defining shifts. While the early Roman state followed a polytheistic tradition centered on many deities and the emperor's authority, the Byzantine Empire was fundamentally Christian. Emperor Constantine the Great legalized Christianity in 313 CE, and by 380 CE, it had become the official state faith. This change created a unique political structure known as Caesaropapism, where the emperor served not only as head of state, but also as protector and patron of the Christian church. This close relationship between church and state became a central feature of Byzantine identity. Constantinople, the empire's capital, was one of the most secure and strategically located cities in the world. Surrounded by water on three sides and protected by massive stone defenses, known as the Theodosian Walls, it was famously difficult to capture. The Eastern Empire was also far wealthier than the Western. Territories, it controlled the vital trade routes connecting Europe and Asia, including the Silk Road and the spice trade, and was home to thriving cities such as Alexandria, Antioch, and Constantinople itself. While the Western Empire struggled against waves of invasions and internal fragmentation, the East mainly faced a more organized rival in the Sassanid Persian Empire, a state with which it could maintain diplomatic relations and engage in structured military campaigns. The Byzantine government was remarkably well organized. Its professional civil service managed taxation, law, and diplomacy with precision and stability, helping the empire endure long after the fall of the West. At its head stood the emperor, Basileus, regarded as the chosen ruler under divine guidance. This centralized system provided consistent leadership and avoided many of the power struggles that had weakened the late Western Empire. As the Western world declined, the Eastern Empire became the stronghold of Orthodox Christianity. The emperor served as the defender of the faith, while the church gave moral authority and social unity to the state. Constantinople evolved into the center of a distinct Christian tradition, spiritually independent from the papal authority in Rome. This religious autonomy helped define a unique Byzantine cultural identity. In Byzantium, religion and politics were deeply intertwined. The empire's guiding vision was to create a universal Christian realm, or oikumene, a kingdom of heaven on earth, governed by the emperor under divine protection. This ideal gave the Byzantine world a powerful sense of unity and purpose. The Byzantine Empire was not merely a continuation of Rome, it was a refined and sustainable version of it. It combined strategic geography, economic strength, and administrative efficiency to preserve Roman governance, Christian belief, and classical knowledge for over a millennium after the fall of Rome. Geographically, the Roman Empire at its height stretched across the entire Mediterranean world, reaching from Britain to Mesopotamia. The Byzantine Empire, particularly after the 7th century, was smaller and more concentrated around Greece and Anatolia, modern-day Turkey. Its administrative structure also evolved. The early Byzantines kept the Roman provincial system, but later replaced it with the theme system, a military administrative model where soldiers were granted land in exchange for service. This made the army more locally rooted and strengthened the empire's regional defenses. The Western Empire, by contrast, relied heavily on paid troops and a centralized civil administration, which proved less adaptable to repeated external pressures. Through its adaptability, faith, and organization, the Byzantine Empire stood as the lasting guardian of Roman heritage, bridging the ancient and medieval worlds for over 1,000 years. Their empire was not a new creation. It was a direct continuation of the Roman Empire. There was no separate first Byzantine Empire starting from nothing. It evolved naturally from the Eastern Roman Empire, maintaining its traditions, institutions, and identity. The first priority for this new era was internal strength. An empire could not project power without financial stability and security. Emperor Anastasius I introduced a major tax reform, replacing the unpopular Chrysogyron tax with a fairer and more efficient system. He maintained the stability of the Byzantine gold solidus, one of the most reliable currencies in history. Understanding the importance of defense, Anastasius ordered the construction of the Long Walls of Thrace, located west of Constantinople, to safeguard the capital and its surrounding lands. The solidus, known in Western Europe as the Byzan, became the gold standard for trade across the Mediterranean and beyond. Its consistent value made it the preferred currency of merchants for more than 700 years. This stable monetary system played a key role in helping the Eastern Empire survive and flourish, even as the Western Empire declined. In the decades following 476 AD, the Byzantine Empire did not attempt an immediate large-scale reconquest of the West. Instead, it relied on diplomacy and strategic alliances to maintain influence. It skillfully used titles and legitimacy to guide emerging regional leaders, often encouraging one rival group to balance another. At the same time, it introduced strong fiscal policies to build up the imperial treasury and focused on fortifying its heartland, especially around Constantinople. The Byzantines consistently emphasized their legal continuity with Rome, presenting themselves as the rightful heirs of the ancient empire. With greater economic resources, they could fund, supply, and sustain their forces. More effectively, and when necessary, even use diplomacy or payments to redirect potential threats elsewhere. While the Western Empire's institutions collapsed under financial pressure, the Eastern military and administrative system evolved into the thematic system, where local landholders also served as soldiers. This reform created a more integrated defense network that helped the empire endure for another 1,000 years. Another major transformation came through language and culture. Over time, the Eastern Empire transitioned from its Latin-speaking Roman roots to a predominantly Greek-speaking civilization. Greek gradually became the language of law, government, and daily life, especially after the 7th century. In matters of justice, Emperor Justinian I made one of the most lasting contributions to world history. Between 529 and 534 CE, he commissioned the Corpus Juris Civilis, the body of civil law. This monumental work included a collection of all imperial decrees, legal writings and interpretations by prominent Roman jurists, a legal textbook for students, a record of Justinian's own new laws. This became the foundation for many modern legal systems across Europe. The Byzantine legal framework included an organized network of courts, with judges appointed directly by the emperor. However, local customs also played a role in smaller towns and rural areas, reflecting the diversity of the empire. Social reforms also evolved. Over time, the use of enslaved labor diminished, and manumission, the freeing of enslaved individuals, became more common. The Christian Church encouraged this practice, sometimes allowing it during religious ceremonies such as baptism. A new system known as serfdom gradually replaced older Roman labor structures. Under this model, farmers were tied to the land they worked, rather than being owned as property. This marked a major shift from the widespread slave-based agriculture of ancient Rome. In terms of civil rights and religion, the Byzantine world reflected its complex heritage. After Christianity became the dominant faith, it shaped law, art, and society. The Jewish community remained the largest non-Christian minority and was officially recognized and protected, though with some social and legal limitations. Other traditional belief systems slowly faded as the empire sought religious unity, shaping a society that revolved around the Orthodox Christian tradition. Family and marriage laws were also carefully defined. Marriage was seen as a sacred institution, and relationships outside marriage were legally recognized, but not granted equal inheritance rights. The empire also faced significant external pressures throughout its history. During the 4th and 5th centuries, migrating Germanic groups, particularly the Goths, entered Roman territories, leading to major military challenges. The Battle of Adrianople in 378 CE, where Emperor Valens lost his life, was one such turning point that reshaped the empire's defensive strategy. In the 5th century, the Huns, led by Attila, advanced into the Balkans and Thrace, prompting the Byzantines to rely on diplomacy and negotiated tributes to safeguard Constantinople. Further east, the long-standing Sasanian Persian Empire remained a powerful rival, leading to centuries of shifting alliances and frontier wars. Later, in 1071, the Battle of Manzikert marked a major setback against the Seljuk Turks, resulting in the loss of much of Anatolia. Another major turning point came in 1204, when the Fourth Crusade captured Constantinople, deeply straining relations between the Latin West and Eastern Orthodox worlds. Finally, on May 29, 1453, Sultan Mehmed II and the Ottoman forces captured Constantinople, bringing an end to the 1,100-year history of the Byzantine Empire. Yet even in its fall, Byzantium left a powerful legacy. It rose from the remnants of Rome and stood as a beacon of learning, faith, and art through one of the most challenging eras in human history. When its great capital finally fell, it marked not only the end of the Middle Ages, but also the beginning of a new chapter, the dawn of the modern world. We conclude our first episode here. In upcoming episodes, we'll explore the lives and legacies of every Byzantine emperor and the fascinating stories behind their reigns. Thank you for watching. Your presence means a lot. If you enjoyed this video, please support this mission by liking, commenting, subscribing, and sharing it with your friends and family. Until next time, take care of yourself and see you in the next episode.